you have a new special coming out this week. In fact, it's your second special on Netflix. It's a big deal because you are, of course, the only Indian comic who has now 2 specials on Netflix. In fact, it'll be out before this interview goes out.
All right.
What's it
like? I might be in hiding when this comes
Highly
up.
unlikely. Right. What's it like a day before you've got a new special that drops? What's sort of going through your mind, through your head?
It's very much like labor, you know what I mean? It's just let this be over, please, so I can either get to the good stuff or to a child that I don't like very much, I'm not sure. But I'm so close to it, you know, and when you're with stand-up, unlike anything else, which is a collaborative art form, the nice thing about films is there are people who will lie to you, you know what I mean, say, nahi, bahut acha hai, you know what I mean?
I was going to actually ask you, how is it different from a day before you've got a big movie coming out? What was it like when Mastizade was coming out?
So, with movies, I think I have it down where I know at the screening. And I have it down to an art where if they come out of your movie, and their head goes up and down, you made a good movie. Say, man, that was a good movie.
Right.
Hey, tune kya kaam kiya? That's great. But if they go like this, you're screwed.
So you've learned to read the head movements.
So this is always followed by, sir, costumes kya achhe the aapke picture mein. That means you're done. You're pakawed.
Correct. Now you learn to read what we usually kind of come up with.
So with stand-up, it's just because I spent a year touring this material. Allegedly, it works in front of an audience. It's gone to 33 countries.
Right.
But how it winds up and your watching experience of it, I have no clue. So at this point, I'm just lost. Very honestly, lost.
The special's called Losing It.
Yes.
It's probably going to be great. But let's for a moment consider that it's not.
Yeah.
Let's assume that it bombs.
Yeah.
If it bombs, it bombs in 190 countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only place where your shame won't follow you is China, North Korea, Syria, and a place called Crimea, which I didn't even know existed. These are the only places where Netflix doesn't sort of reach.
You know, that's actually where I'm shooting my next 6 projects. Rajeev, no. The lovely thing about what I do is it's such a democratic profession. You know what I mean? Where if I tell a shit joke right now, I have an opportunity to get on stage in 3 days from now. And any of my failures turn into material as well.
Right.
So
I was going to say you're unemployable in like 97.43% of the world. But no, that's not likely to happen.
I think...
Look, in India, you'll be employed. Look at how many Bollywood star kids, you know, non-talented Bollywood star kids get a second chance.
Yeah. I mean, look at, you know, the specials that came out in this last year that were very controversial. The Jim Jeffries special or the Dave Chappelle special, where really half the people watching that special are not on board with what this guy is saying.
True.
And I promise you they'll watch the next special. You know? Now, if it's not funny, you're screwed. Then there's no fixing that because there's no middle ground for comedians either.
Right.
You know, there's an okay singer, there's an okay actor.
True.
A comedian, you either love the guy or you want to assassinate him and his family together.
True.
So we'll see. You know, it's a gamble.
But I'm sure it's going to be great. That was just me trying to be funny. That was me trying to be funny. What do you enjoy more? I mean, you're an actor, you're a music person, you're also a comic. What's the greater thrill between sort of being on this big screen, playing a role, playing lines, sort of saying lines that have been written for you, versus sort of doing your own thing?
I haven't gotten to the point as an actor where I feel I have as much involvement as a project as I get to have as a comedian. You know, in my special, I get to control every single shot. I get to design the material. I get to design the response, tweak the response.
Right.
Man, as an actor, I'll be honest with you, for the first 6 years, you're just trying to get your damn foot in the door.
Of course.
And just to be present at the meeting. Right. You know, you're an intern at the meeting. So I'm now looking forward to a phase where there's a fan base, you can bring it to that, which means you have some sort of creative involvement in the acting career as well. So I haven't even gotten to that point in my acting career.
But you know, Mastizade aside, you were actually pretty good in Delhi Belly, you were pretty good in Go Goa Gone.
Yeah.
Are those like great memories?
They're great memories. And both opposite memories. Like Go Goa Gone was such an improvisational film.
Sure.
Because here are 3 guys who are just great mental connections with each other. So take a right, take a left, etc., and we're getting that.
Right.
Delhi Belly, you just read the script and you knew this was gold. So don't touch it. You know, just say what's on the page. And it was fun for those reasons as well. So they're both kind of opposite things. What I love about the process is you're not alone. There's so many people collaborating to make you better. In stand-up, you got 2 minutes to get an audience. A stand-up show is 2 minutes long. If you get them in 2, you can hold them for 58. If you lose them in 2, you're lost for 58.
What do you find that you're more recognized for?
It depends. Like if you and I took a walk outside, they'd be like, "Ye go Goa gone wala hai." Yeah. In fact, ye masti zade wala hai. You know what I mean? They'd be like that.
It depends on where we're walking.
Depending on where we're walking. But if you're on Twitter, on social media, one is a comic. Internationally, definitely one is a comic now. And post that Netflix special, the international market really came into one's pocket. So, you know.
Do you still, though, have those acting ambitions? You'd like
to? Absolutely. You know, so
you are, of course, doing an ABC show.
This is an acting year. I took a year off. I did a world tour last year and just kind of cleansed and purged and came back fresh. ABC show, Whiskey Cavalier, that'll be out, I think, in March. Hasmukh with Nikhil Advani, which is
That's a web show.
That's a web show, but it's the opposite of who I am.
Okay.
It's me playing, you know, just an unhealthy man from Saharanpur who's a serial killer. So Eastern UP accent, very violent, very dark. Happy Patel is my next movie, which is Johnny English, Austin Powers, that zone of movie, Go Goa Gone 2. So I'm spending the year acting this year. After last year was just stand-up.
Are there enough people who are sort of willing to invest in you outside of comedy? Do you feel like people are willing to? I don't think invest is the right word. People are willing to sort of stretch their imagination to take a gamble on you outside of comedy, or do you feel like it's an albatross in that sense then, or a double-edged sword?
No, I think I hope so. You know what I mean? And B, I hope it'll get better and better. The nice thing with comedy careers, and you know this, is longevity.
Right.
You know, I don't need to have a six-pack ever in my life.
Right.
Where is your Indian Ben Stiller? Where is your Indian Steve Carell? Where is your Indian Adam Sandler?
Who's sort of crossed over,
or your Sacha Baron Cohen.
Right.
And where finally we've got enough platforms, enough of an audience where this role can be filled. I want to fill that role. But at the same time, when an Adam Sandler does a Meyerowitz stories and is sublime in that movie, that's great as well. So hopefully if I keep doing the comedy thing and make it crazy enough, there'll be enough people to invest in me doing the opposite as well. It's just got to work, you know, together.
Do you remember the first moment that you realized you were funny?
Yeah. I was 7. And I was in boarding school, and this prefect of mine, called Mubir or something like that, had beaten the hell out of me like 4 nights in a row because I was just a badly behaved kid. And there was a debate happening, and he was in class 12. And he went up and he started his debate with a joke, and he's like, "You're walking in the jungle and you meet a lion. What time is it? It's time to run." And I just remember this pissed me off, like viscerally made me angry. And so at the end of the debate, there's an interjection round, in school.
Right, yeah.
So one 7-year-old Veal raised his hand, walked up, and I was like, "If you're walking in the jungle and you meet a lion, it's not time to run, it's time to die." Right? And the whole school clapped. And
it takes so little to make a whole school at that age.
At that age. But in that moment, I realized that you can beat me all you like now.
Right.
I won.
Yeah.
Because I was funny, and I can do that with this, you know?
At what age did you realize that you could make a living off it?
Well, when I came back to India, because after college I did drama school. I was washing dishes in Chicago, which there's a fun story in the special about doing that, and just watching people's food leave the kitchen and come back into the kitchen as you wash their dish.
Right.
And I came back to India, and I ended up doing a show for a lady called Vidyun Singh at the India Habitat Center. And see, when I came back, stand-up was this very like posh South Bombay, 40 and above. Everybody was wearing pleated trousers, kind of an art form.
Right.
So I'm this kid who said the F word, and college kids had nobody to watch in India at that point in time. So then I was like, oh shit, we can make some money here, and I love this. It's organic and raw,
You said you spent all of last year, or was it this year, traveling and
it was 2017.
The world tour.
Yeah.
And what is there something that sort of binds? What makes people laugh everywhere?
You making fun of yourself.
Sure.
So you owning your stuff.
Self-deprecatory stuff.
Absolutely.
It resonates everywhere.
Yeah, nobody likes a jackass with a drink telling you what's wrong with you.
Right.
Nobody likes that. Religion.
Right.
As much as we get sensitive about that, it works the world over. Religious material is always great. And storytelling. I really found that. In my first special, I wasn't enough of a storyteller. And now when you go out and you tell people stories, even if it is about a very Indian childhood, or a very Indian first relationship. You could be in Norway, you could be in Africa. They find things to relate to in that story.
Right.
So yeah.
What's your process? How many people make you look as good as you do? And when I say look as good, I mean on stage. I mean, how many people does it take?
This is all plastic surgery. and lensing and lighting, yeah. But I discuss a lot.
Sure.
So I will definitely go out and ask questions. You know, in the new special, like I was like, okay, I want to write a bit about feminism.
Okay.
And this was important to me for this special.
Right.
So I went and spoke to professors, a couple of young female copywriters, and I'm like, so tell me, what do we need to be doing?
Right.
And all of the answer was, why don't you shut up? And I was like, okay, now I don't get to write anything about this. But something that I caught on to was one of them saying, why don't you begin by re-questioning your own masculinity?
Nice.
Because that defines how you treat women.
Right.
So rather than writing a bit about feminism, it became a deconstruction of masculinity as such. And then maybe me questioning what is wrong with my own masculinity. So that's step one. Just talk to people, get some questions answered. Step two, write down everything that I think defines me as a man.
Right.
And take it apart one by one by one. Then I'm kind of running around the house with like a can of deodorant and, you know, in my living room like a crazy person, and then you take it up on stage. It's pretty simple.
Are comics just thieves like actors? Are they constantly sort of you know taking
absolutely.
from?
You're always just listening and writing stuff down. So I love an airport. You know, I love a cinema. I love any crowded place where I can kind of sponge and listen.
You know, I watched an interview of yours in which you spoke about Hassan Minhaj and I think you said Stephen Colbert. And it's interesting that you picked those two because they speak a lot about, they're very political, Colbert especially, Hassan Minhaj also. Yeah. But I think that landscape and that environment allows you to be. Yeah. Is that something that depresses you, the fact that, or do you feel restrained when it comes to being political here?
I think...
In your comedy?
No. The one lesson that I've learned is, look, if you have a strong enough moral compass, and I consider myself a pretty patriotic person, your joke will come from that standpoint. It'll just filter into what you're writing. It is the most democratic thing to parody your country. Right. And I maintain that.
Yes.
The reason we get kind of scared is, think of India as a big joint family. All right? Sure. Now we're all having dinner. And there's one pakoda. Now there'll be one cranky chacha who does not like pakoras and will vocalize at dinner that he hates pakoras, right? Right. The only problem is we have 1.3 billion.
I was going to say, it's not just one uncle,
so there's a lot of cranky chachas in India. Correct. But at the same time, because of that guy, we can't disregard the whole joint family that is enjoying this pakoda. Right. So I really try and focus on those people. If something offends somebody, much like I have a right to say what I'm saying on stage, I have to be mature enough to, you know, entertain their right to express that. Right. And I will even go as far as to apologize for the fact that you feel upset. Sure. I'm sorry that you feel upset. I'm not sorry I did the joke. Right. You know what I mean? I would never want to make somebody feel hurt or offended, but I'm going to keep doing what I do. And you
but you know, I saw bits of the first special, and I see a broad understanding. Yeah. And I see that you're making a lot of Trump jokes because it is divided between New York and Delhi. Yeah. Do you have the same freedom to do that here? To do that with? I think so.
I mean, by the way, I think the Trump joke and the Modi joke are both so passé, you can't do them anymore. Sure. Everybody's just sick and tired of that stuff. I shot a broad understanding 2 days after Trump won the election. So you had to talk about it. It was this big elephant in the room. Yeah, I think so. People are fine with a Narendra Modi joke. They're definitely fine with a Rahul Gandhi joke. You know, and, and I think post-demonetization and all of that stuff, they're fine with both of them equally. That's another thing that I learned is my audience is not specific, right? So you come to my show, the front row is really expensive, the last row is really cheap. Right. So you'll see a range of people and you'll see left-wingers and right-wingers sitting and disagreeing but having a good time.
That's interesting. I should come to one of your shows.
Please do. So equality of offense is something that I feel like a lot of comedians can play with a little bit. Right. Why are you making fun of one religion? Let's make fun of all of them. You know, why are you making fun of one party? Let's go. Right. Then there's more freedom in that.
Correct.
You know?
Man, we saw him on TV every day. We gotta ban the Muslims. Throw out all the Muslims. No Muslims. And the entire world is watching that going, it's Muslim, you son of a bitch.
What wouldn't you joke about? Is there something that's just sacred?
Yeah. People who are ill, you know, kids, you know, maybe somebody who doesn't have a chance to fight back is somebody I would, you know, people say comedy should punch up.
Right.
I don't know what punching up is, and who's to define
what
up and down is, etc., etc.
Right.
But definitely, I think people who are ill is something that where I draw the line. Tragic instances.
So disability, you wouldn't?
No, not at all. I don't think so. I don't think, you know.
I asked because I saw this, you know, the documentary on Joan Rivers.
Yes.
And there's this moment where she makes a joke about a disabled person and someone heckles her from the audience, and she got really mad. She got really mad.
I know.
And she said,
Yeah.
you saw that. So she says, you know, I mean, humor is meant to make you come to terms with everything, and how would we survive 9/11 if it wasn't for humor? Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely, it does. But then where I disagree with her is you have to be able to entertain the response to the joke.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Don't get mad.
Don't get mad. You can't suddenly claim moral high ground because somebody responded to your joke and say, but I'm a humorist.
Right.
Take their response and fight back with humor again. So I don't like the preach after a response.
Sure.
You know, I like the joke about the response. What I like about a Ricky Gervais or whatever is that he'll take the response and he'll take the heat, but he'll do a joke about that heat.
Sure.
And I respect that. That's a comedian, you know?
You know, the comedy scene here, it seems like it's really broken out. I mean, this has been, the last few years have been a great time. We've just seen more comics than ever who have now a space both in both a physical space and many physical spaces, but also space on digital platforms.
Absolutely.
Is there a part of you that wishes these opportunities were there your time?
No, I had to earn my fans the hard way by sleeping with them at the show.
That's what I meant.
So that loyalty stays. No, I know. I'm thankful for really how corporate it was and how hard we had to fight on CNBC to push the envelope.
Correct.
And,
I remember doing a show,
simply because that made me form an appreciation for polish.
Okay, right.
You know, I couldn't go up and be like, and just kind of, you know, wing it.
Right.
There was no winging it. You really had to be prepared. And also, when they spend real money to see you, as opposed to when they click like and watch you for free, that's a different relationship.
Right.
And a different level of performance that they expect from you. You know, what I always tell young comics is whatever you do online has to pale in comparison to what you do live. Because if I spend $2,000 to come see you and the YouTube video was better,
you're in trouble.
Never watching you again.
Correct.
And I won't age with you. Somehow, I don't know how, now most of my fan base is between 16 and 29. And I don't know how that happened.
Probably young girls, right?
Not really. It's a very male fan base as well. But, you know, I'm 39, so I don't know how that happened.
It's funny, you're 39, but you're the senior on the scene.
Yeah, but also, listen, we're so new. Dave Chappelle is the best Dave Chappelle has ever been.
Right.
Because he's 30 years into comedy. You don't even find your stuff until 15 years in.
Right.
Like, for the first 5 years, I was just an actor playing a comedian.
Right.
So I really think I've been doing this for 5 years. And I don't know what kind of comedian I'm going to be next year. This show, this special is, if you saw A Broad Understanding, it's edgier. It pushes the envelope more. It's more personal. And it, at some points, invites discomfort from the audience. Very clearly. There are bits about masculinity, there are bits about falling sick, there are bits about gender issues or about going bankrupt.
Right.
That invite discomfort from the audience and kind of unabashedly enjoys that discomfort as well.
Right.
I wouldn't have done that 2 years ago in A Broad Understanding. So even I'm kind of evolving, hopefully for the better. I don't know.
Is it universal? Because now it's going out to 190 countries, something that you're reminded every moment when it's going on Netflix. And what's the trick to making it universal? I'll tell you what happens in films. You know, the general opinion is the more specific it is to the world and to the milieu that it's set in, the more universal it just becomes as a result because people can relate to universal emotions. Is that true of comedy as well? Or does it need to be, do the themes need to be larger and universal and something that affects not just Indians?
I don't think context, theme, universe needs to be specific, but a core emotion is the basis of a comedy special.
So it's the same thing in
It's
that
the
sense,
same thing. Like for this special, it really, the reason it's called Losing It is at some point I woke up 2 years ago and I went, you know what? I don't believe 80% of the shit that I used to believe.
Okay.
And I don't like 80% of these people.
Right.
And all of this has to go.
But what was the turning point? Was it?
It's just one day I woke up and I was like, I've been this guy for 10 years. I don't have the same politics. I don't have the same view of God. I don't have the same view of friends, love, relationship, finances.
That's a scary thought to wake up like that, right?
But who hasn't had that moment? Now,
right.
I just happened to write a show about it.
Right.
But that core, and that's when I took the world tour. I was like, I need to get out and reevaluate who I'm going to be for the next 10 years. So, it really...
You have it better than the rest of us, right? If one of us woke up with it, you're like, we're jobless, we're unemployable, you can go on a world tour after you sort of...
True, I'm thankful for that, but, it really is about that. It's about saying, do I want to do stand-up anymore? You know what I mean? I've been saving so much money for such a long time. Why the hell am I not spending my money? I have all this money. Let me go and enjoy myself. Do I believe in God or do I believe in religion? That's an important question I ask myself.
Right.
And I realized that I strongly believe in God. And maybe I'm reevaluating my religion. I grew up in Africa and I grew up in India. Am I more African or am I more Indian? That's the question I asked.
Right.
I fight every day to be an honest person. What if I just lied all the time? you know, what is the freedom in that? Because I used to be a liar when I was a kid and maybe that was more fun.
Right.
I consider myself a man. Do I really want to be a man? You know what I mean? This show strength all the time,
right.
control, go get it, ambition. Is there a better way to live your life? I used to be a dishwasher in Chicago, and that's the tie-in to the thing. Did I have it better then, as a dishwasher?
So like huge existential questions.
Absolutely.
Right.
So it's about that, but at the same time, it will take you to America and across the world and ask these questions about life, and there'll be political material and religious material, but the core emotion is, I think I'm done with this guy.
Right. What do you think of the current comedy scene here?
Oh, it's awesome. It really is.
You're not just saying that because it's the right thing to say.
No, I think it's because of digital, right? And just specifically because of smartphones. You have instant access to any type of audience. You know what I mean? So there is an Aditi's audience, and there is a Zakir Khan's audience, and there is my audience, and there is somebody else's audience, and there is a type of stand-up comedy for all of them. And the best thing about what has happened now is novelty is gone.
Right.
So you've seen a good comedian, and you've seen a shit comedian. You're no longer watching because he's just a comedian. You've seen good comedy, you've seen shit comedy. So now he or she has to be good. There is, innovators are going to survive at this point. And that's what I like about what's happening in the scene.
What do you think of what happened this year with a lot of the comedians and MeToo? And is there going to be a second chance? Are they going to get a second chance?
I mean, that is dependent on who they are and what they did. That has to be a specific thing and a case-by-case thing. I'll say 3 things about it. Number 1, a fear of being unprofessional in any industry is the healthiest thing in the world. So I think that coming into comedy will only do good things. So that's amazing. 2, it needs to encourage more of a listening leading to action response from men in comedy, to listen to women in comedy.
Right.
That's really what I took away from this, is read articles, shut up, listen, etc. And 3, there's been pretty quick consequence.
That's right.
In comedy.
Right.
Direct consequence within a matter of weeks.
Correct.
I would love to see such quick consequence in other big industries as well. We're a small industry, so it happened really quickly. Music, television, film, come on, step it up. Show the same level of consequence. That's what I would say.
Fair enough. You're now going to get into Go Gone 2.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that they decided to make a second one?
No, not at all. I mean, all of us were surprised by the first one. We're like, who the hell is going to watch this movie?
It was so funny.
And
actually the best bits were you guys. Yeah. It was actually funnier than the zombies actually.
Yeah, 3 of us just found a really good chemistry with each other. We genuinely love each other, right? And since the...
Have you all been sort of in touch?
Yeah, so since the first one, we've all grown and done tremendously different
married,
things.
Some of you have
babies.
babies.
Anand is a credible A-list director now,
Correct.
you know what I mean, etc., etc. So we all got together like 3 months ago, and we were at Raj's place with DK and hearing the script, and we just kind of all realized how much we missed each other and how we're still idiots. And I think, we'll still be able to recreate that chemistry of idiocy with each other.
When do you start that?
I think next year. Mid next year, I think, at some point. Saif has to, take
He
that
has to
call.
come back as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a part of you that wants to direct?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think I don't know enough lensing and technical stuff yet. Not that you have to as a director, but I'm producing next year.
Yeah.
I'll produce 4 shows next year as a creative director under Weird Ass, which is my company. And definitely in the next 3-4 years, I'll direct something. I don't know if it'll be a feature. It may be just a smaller episodic thing to see if I'm good or
Right. So test the waters.
Test the waters a little bit. Maybe I'll do a short film, but definitely. Yeah.
What's the biggest misconception that people have about a funny guy or a comic?
I think that I would say that we don't have an agenda.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We are extremely democratic in our offense.
Right.
And I feel like in India specifically, we need to understand that, right? If I do a joke about the BJP, they think I'm a Congress agent.
Right.
If I do a joke about the Congress, they think I'm a BJP agent. If I do a joke about Bollywood, they think it's because I'm indie. If I do a joke about the scene, they think it's because I'm a Bollywood sellout.
Right.
I have no plan.
Correct.
There's madness in my head and I'm writing jokes about whatever strikes.
Equal opportunity offender.
I'm an equal opportunity offender. We don't have agendas. And also, I think for some reason, comedians in India have fallen into a space of being cooler than comedians worldwide. We're somehow cool in India. And we're not. We're filled with self-doubt. That is the genesis of comedy.
I was going to say, isn't it true? And I mean,
Yeah.
I know this because I've seen
Yeah.
this and I think part of it resonates. I mean, so many people who became comics were people who became comics because they didn't look like Hrithik Roshan, I mean.
Look, comedians are failed rock stars.
Correct.
That's all we are. We didn't have musical talent. We weren't that great looking or sexy, but we still wanted the
Right.
So we just decided to shit on everybody else and get the same response. But in India, because we do influencer campaigns and because we do this and that, somehow comedians are cool.
Right.
We're not. And the ones of us that we're faking it if we look cool and all of those things. The genesis of comedy is self-doubt and embracing that insecure neediness of who you are as a person. So that's what you need to know about us.
Are you expected to be on all the time?
No, I don't think.
But do they expect it of you? Does everyone expect a joke literally everywhere or you to
I
be
think
funny?
that's the one thing I get having done this for a while.
Right.
That's the one benefit I get of being senior or whatever is people are like, acha, ye hai. He exists like this only. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if we want to see him be funny, we have to spend money. Like that is at least.
That's a good sort of reputation to have. Yeah.
So at least I'm there. That's the one benefit of having done this for a while.
Who for you are the funniest people in India?
Johnny Lever, number one, absolutely. Just because of innovation.
Yeah.
Like if you go and see Johnny Lever's show today, it's edgier than most young comic shows.
Right.
It's like edge, which you don't expect from
him,
Johnny Bhai
Correct.
in real life.
Right.
Johnny Lever, I think I like Biswa. Biswa's funny as well. Rohan, I think is incredibly funny. Aditi, Anu, all these guys. This is good comedy happening. Yeah. So
are you friends with them?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a nice. Arey, dekho, Conan karke kaun wapas aaya?
I saw that actually. It's very funny.
Thank you.
Was that a big moment?
That was a huge moment. That is the most stressful 5 minutes of my career. Because, at least there, by the way, this whole America career that I'm now having happened because of those 5 minutes. And it is very much in the history of, remember comedians used to go on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Right. And that was their big,
that big
led
breakout.
to Seinfeld and Richard Pryor, etc. So you go out and it's 4.5 minutes. Right. You don't have a mic. The audience is really, really far away. Conan O'Brien is my idol.
Right.
And you don't remember anything that you've done. It's just zen nervousness. Then you go home and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they don't air it until 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
So for 7 hours,
you have
just
no idea
wondering if your career is done. Because by the way, if you bomb on late night television in America, you're done. It's over.
Right.
And if you do well, everybody suddenly learns your name. So
what were the tweets like after that went on?
It's great. I mean, there's a lot of just by virtue of us highs. You know what I mean? So we became, I think, one of their highest watched Facebook and this thing because people going, Mera Bharat Mahan. You know, that was great.
That was a part of big reason to have you as well, right? I mean, funny guy from biggest country, biggest population.
I cannot tell you the security that comes with having this many Indians have your back.
Right.
You know, and by the way, my whole career, right, is a lot of people going, why is this guy working? You know what I mean? Or why is this guy here? Why do you get to be in a movie? Or why do you get to play a rock festival? It's because of unrelenting fans.
Right.
Like somehow I have this fan base that is just, no, he will do, we will support, we will like, we will share, etc. And that's how this happened with Conan as well. So, and then Americans just going, huh, this guy's funny. Also what happened was, I did a Simpsons joke.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I'm not doing any Apu from the Simpsons, this thing. The guest was Hank Azaria.
Oh wow, okay.
Who voices Apu.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous I didn't realize it.
Right.
But there happens to be a moment where I looked to the right and people are like, "Arey, he gave it," and none of that was planned. So that kind of created some good online buzz as well. So yeah.
Where do you, is there a goal? Is there a 5-year plan?
No, man.
I mean, you're a multi-hyphenate, right? You do many things. Is there, I mean, is there one more than other that you're more deeply invested in? I mean, I would imagine comedy.
Yeah.
But you're also acting.
No, you know.
Or do you sort of see it as an extent? Are these just extensions of who you are? Do you feel like it's all just one career, or do you see them as multiple things?
I think they're just things floating around in my head, you know, and I need to put them out there, or I will go insane.
Right.
And that's the only way I can explain it. You know, I'm acting so much right now, and I did so much stand-up last year. I was on a flight and I heard a great piece of music, and I got really sad for a day, saying I haven't made music in like 4 or 5 months. And that just kind of, I obsessed about that for 3 or 4 days, and then called up my band and I was like, I miss you, and I'm in Prague, and they're like, well then stop blowing up stuff and saving the world and come and be with us. There's no plan, man. Like, Rajeev, we used to share the same office.
That's right. I used to bump into you in the makeup room.
In the makeup
room.
room.
This guy's so cool. He makes people laugh for a living.
Right, but I was doing 4 minutes a night on CNBC.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the biggest thing in the world. So the odds that I would even headline a film or a series or face a camera as, you know, a romantic guy or a horror comedy are so incredibly slim. Like, you know, it's such a product of collective kindness that this has kind of happened.
Sure.
I think it'd be disingenuous to plan it and pretend like this was all, I was the architect of this nonsense. It's not. It's just kind of winging it.
So much graciousness. Veer Das, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing so much happiness in our lives
Thank
through
you,
all
man.
the comedy that you do. Looking forward to lots more.
Thank
Here's
you.
hoping that you continue to sort of mix it up and be this multi-hyphenate that you are.
I will see you in China and North Korea next year.
Thank you.